To summarize, I explained what TeamTalk was and what platforms is it available upon. We visited the website Bearware, BEARWARE.dk. We downloaded the file, we installed TeamTalk, and we checked the box for the client accessibility for TeamTalk. Now comes the fun part. We are going to open the preferences and we're going to configure TeamTalk so that you, the user, can have your name displayed, your settings saved, and anything else that we may run across. To open the TeamTalk preferences, we're going to hit F4.
Preferences dialog. General property page. Gender set. Coven activity. 0 disabled. User settings grouping. Nickname edit. Selected no name.
So when you first hit F4, you are going to land on your name, or nickname as they call it in this case. So you can think of nickname as John Doe or Baker Bar or whatever you want to call yourself here. By default, it defaults to no name. So we are going to backspace out of all this and we're going to insert our name here. Whatever name you want to call yourself, just keep in mind that people are going to refer to this as when you join a TeamTalk server. So if you say Armando loves his Mac, that's pretty much how they're going to refer to you by. Hello, Armando loves your Mac. How's it going? Or something to that effect. And I'm sure you do not want that. So what I would suggest is use common sense and identify yourself the way you want to be identified so that you do not look like a dummy or however else. So let's erase this and I'm going to replace it with my name. We're going to type in Armando as my name. Then we're going to tab.
Male radio button checked.
Here you can select your gender, male or female. In this case, I'm going to leave it at male. We're going to tab.
Set away status after edit. Selected 180.
Set away status. So basically after 180 minutes, it's going to show the other users on TeamTalk as away. I usually leave it at 0, but this would be a per user preference, so I am going to erase this and put 0. Okay, I took care of that, and we're going to tab.
Speech transmission mode grouping. Push to talk checkbox not checked.
Speech transmission, push to talk. By default, this box is unchecked. This comes in handy, for instance, if you are multitasking and you don't want to leave your mic open. You can just say, hey guys, I'm here doing this and this and that. I'll be with you in a moment. You just hold a key or 2 keys down, and then once you're done, you let go, and no one can hear you. So I'm going to press the space bar because I prefer to have this particular feature enabled.
Checked.
We tab.
Setup keys button alt S.
Setup keys. If you are on a desktop, you can set up different keys. You can do this on a laptop as well. However, on a laptop, of course, we all know that your keyboard space is limited. So on my desktop, I have my right control and my right shift key as my push to talk key when I'm on TeamTalk. Of course, this is a per user preference, but by default, it is set to the left control key, which in this case, I will definitely leave it there for now.
Key combination edit read only. Blank.
Key combination, it says blank. I need to actually set up a key, so I had a shift tab and land on setup keys. So I hit the space bar.
Press key combination dialog. Current key combination. This dialog closes when you have released all keys. Set up odd key grouping. Hold down the keys which should be used as odd key. Modifier keys like shift, CTRL and alt can be used in combination with other keys. Current key combination edit read only. Blank.
So basically it's telling you can have one or more keys, such as alt control or shift. In this case, I'm just going to do a left control for now.
Preferences dialog. General property page. Gender set. Coven activity. 0 disabled. Key combination
So if we
CTRL.
tab,
Speech transmission mode group. Key combination edit read only. Selected CTRL.
it says control CTRL. For now, that would be okay. I can always change it later. So I'm going to tab.
Voice activated checkbox checked.
Voice activated checkbox. By default, this is checked. That means that when you log on a TeamTalk server, your mic's going to be open and people are going to notice you and they're going to say, hey, Armando loves Mac, or hey, so-and-so, how's it going? If you don't want to have your mic open, you can uncheck this. And I will cover how to enable voice activation, or as I call it, hands-free, when the appropriate time comes. But for now, I am going to uncheck this box. Of course, this is a per user preference.
Not checked.
And we're going to tab.
OK button.
We're going to hit OK.
Cancel
Cancel.
button. Tab control. General tab selected.
General tab. Now we're on a list of tabs here where you have general, display, connection, sounds, sound events, video. So we're going to right arrow to
Display tab selected.
display, and let's explore what's in here.
Display property page font default. User interface settings grouping. User interface language combo box collapsed.
Here you can change your language. Of course, it's going to be set to whatever your Windows system is, so I would leave this alone, but you can explore with it or play with it as you please.
Button.
This is an unlabeled button. I believe this is where you can browse.
Start minimized checkbox not checked.
You can have your TeamTalk start minimized, which I usually leave those unchecked. This is a poor user preference.
Minimize the tray checkbox not checked.
Minimize the tray. You can, of course, minimize your TeamTalk to the tray, which, again, this is a per user preference.
Always on top checkbox not checked.
Always on top, that means it's going to take control over other programs or other running tasks and put this on top. So this is a per user preference, so I usually leave this in check.
Double click for joining channels checkbox checked.
Double click for joining channels. This is for mouse users. If you are a mouse user, if you have low vision and you depend on the mouse, this is a setting whether or not you want to have double click enabled to join a channel.
Enable VU meter updates checkbox not checked.
Enable VU meter updates. This is basically for your sound levels and whatnot, and if you are a screen reader user, it's going to drive you up the wall. So if it is unchecked, I would definitely advise leave this item unchecked. Unless, of course, you want to make yourself miserable, then go for it. Otherwise, leave it alone.
Show username instead of nickname checkbox not checked.
Show usernames instead of nicknames. This means if you are an admin, you can see who's on the admin side. But the disadvantage is if you have a guest account, everybody's going to show up as guest instead of, for example, Armando's Mac or whatever the case may be. So this is a per user preference. I tend to leave this unchecked.
Show number of users and channels checkbox checked.
Show number of users and channels. This is self-explanatory. That means it's going to read to you how many users are there, or you can use your arrow keys and navigate, which we will cover that in the next topic.
Clear channels when quitting checkbox checked.
Clear channels with quitting. Basically, if you close TeamTalk, it's not going to remember where you were, which channel you were in. Which it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. This will be a per user preference. I usually leave the defaults as it is. I don't necessarily mess with.
Pop-up message dialog on incoming message checkbox checked.
Pop-up message on incoming. That means if someone sends you a message or when you log on TeamTalk, it's going to read you a message of the day. And for iPhone users, this may or may not work as iPhone users don't necessarily get the message of the day. So keep this in mind. But for computer users, this will definitely work for you. Or if you get a private message or a channel message, which we will cover that when the topic at hand comes.
Timestamp on messages checkbox not checked.
Timestamp on messages. By default, it is unchecked. That means, for example, let's say John sent me a message. It's going to say, John, 1:35 p.m. or however it words it. It's going to give you the person's name plus the time the message was sent. This could be a good thing, especially if you are documenting, or this could be a bad thing, depending on your user preference. Of course, this is at your discretion, so you can check it or uncheck it. I like to leave it unchecked.
Check for program updates checkbox checked.
Check for program updates. This is going to notify you that there is a new TeamTalk release available. However, this will not update the TeamTalk for you. You have to go grab it from the Bearware site where we went and visited. So this is a per user preference. So I am going to uncheck it since I particularly don't care. I always grab the latest and greatest anyways.
Not checked. Maximum text length edit selected 50.
Maximum text length. This is, of course, by default is set to 50, so you can increase it up to, I think, 200 or maybe more. I don't recall. You can increase the text length, especially if you're low vision or you want more room to write, but other people may not have theirs increased, so I would just leave it alone if I were you, but this is a per user preference.
Sort channels combo box ascending collapsed.
Sort channels combo box, and it's going to give us the option of ascending or
Popularity.
if I down arrow, it says popularity. This means that you can have your channels sort in alphabetical, or if, for example, somebody's on a channel, it's going to notify you when you use your down arrow keys within the channel tree, hey, somebody's in the Fun Adult After Dark channel, or whatever they call it. This will definitely save you the hassle of finding who's in an active channel. This is a per user preference. I am going to set it to popularity since I actually like this feature, and we're going to tab.
OK button.
OK.
Cancel button.
We tap again, we hear cancel.
Tab control. Display tab selected.
And we're back to the display. Now we're going to right arrow to the connection.
Connection tab selected.
We will now tab in.
Connection property page default 0. TCP default 0. UDP client settings grouping. Auto connect to latest host on startup checkbox not checked.
Auto connect to latest host on startup. You visited more than one server. It's going to connect to the latest server that you visited instead of allowing you the opportunity to search for the server that you want, which we will cover that, of course, in the subsequent topic when it comes time. But for now, just know that this is a per user preference. I usually leave this in check because I like to server hop, which means I like to go to other servers and I like to see who's on there. I don't want it to connect to, for example, the VIP lounge or the Heat FM lounge or whatever you want to call it. I like to be able to have the ability to choose the server I want to connect to. But if for some reason this is your only computer and this is the only server you connect to, then you can of course leave that checked. We're going to tab.
Reconnect on connection drop checkbox checked.
Reconnect on connection drop. By default, that is checked, and that means, for example, if your internet dies and it comes up, it's going to automatically throw you back in the room you were connected at, or the channel, or the server you were dropped from.
Auto join root channel upon connection checkbox checked.
Auto join root channel. Here's where I'm going to give you a little tidbit. The root channel, you can think of it as a lobby. As I mentioned previously, TeamTalk is a multi-voice conferencing system. So if you think of TeamTalk as a virtual conference room, when you first go to a conference center, you go what's referred to as a lobby, correct? Well, TeamTalk, they call this the root channel, so you can think of this as a lobby. And these rooms subsequent to the lobby, you can refer to as your offices or conference rooms or however you want to call it. So this is a per user preference. I am going to leave this unchecked. So I'm going to uncheck it in my case, but by default it is checked. And this is of course when you have the channels sorted by popularity or ascending, at least with the popularity, it's going to show you the active channel first before the vacant channels. So I am going to uncheck this.
Not checked.
We're going to tab.
Default subscriptions upon connection grouping. User messages checkbox checked.
Default subscriptions upon connection. That means you can have it read user messages, or you can disable them so you don't have to listen to user messages, but I would leave those checked.
Broadcast messages checkbox checked.
Depending on the server configuration, that's usually for admins if they want to broadcast a message to the whole TeamTalk server.
Channel messages checkbox checked.
Channel messages, that's basically a message where everybody on the specific room can see.
Voice checkbox checked.
Voice, that means, of course, you can listen to when you first log into the room, people can hear, or you can hear the people.
Video checkbox checked.
Video, this is if you're sighted or you have low vision. TeamTalk works for both voice and video conferencing, but in my case, I have that disabled on my servers, and other people may as well because obviously, well, we don't need video. But other people choose to have this. For this sake, I'm going to uncheck it since I don't want video and I don't want my computer to be bogged down with video.
Not checked. Desktop checkbox checked.
Desktop. This means if you are sharing a desktop with somebody, again, on the admin side, people would configure this if they want to allow desktop sharing or not. I'm going to uncheck it since I don't have that for my servers.
Not checked. Media file stream checkbox checked.
Media file stream. What this means is if somebody is streaming something, provided that it works, since Windows, it's a hit and miss, you can stream either something that is in WAV or MP3, or an internet stream that supports the MP3 protocol. You can either A, listen to it when you come in, or B, have it disabled so you don't listen to it. This is a per user preference, so I am going to leave that checked.
Local ports grouping. Local TCP port edit selected 0.
Local ports, we leave that alone because of course this does not benefit us. This only benefits the people who create our server.
Local UDP port edit selected 0.
Local UDP port, we leave that alone.
OK button.
OK.
Cancel.
Cancel.
Tab control. Connection tab.
And we're back to the preview of the connections and all the other tabs. We are going to right arrow.
Sound system tab selected.
To the sound system. And we're going to tab in.
Sound system property page input sample rates 8000 output sample rates 44100. Sound system settings grouping. Windows audio session radio button checked.
Here it's going to give you several different options. You have Windows audio session.
Direct sound radio button checked.
Direct sound.
Windows default radio button
Windows
checked.
default. I would suggest you set this to direct sound as this gives you a more clear sound. And depending how one configures the room, it's going to give you either a stereo-like effect, or when people pan to the left and right, it's going to give you more of a 3D effect if you must. So we're going to up arrow to
Direct sound radio button checked.
direct sound, and we're going to tab.
Input device combo box primary sound capture driver collapsed.
Input device. This is where you're going to select your microphone. If you have more than one microphone, you can select which other microphone. By default, it is set to primary, so I'm going to down arrow.
Microphone, Cirrus Logic CS4260, AB82.
So there is my microphone, or
no sound device.
No sound device. If it's set to no sound device, obviously people are not going to be able to hear you, and that could be problematic. So we're going to set it back to my microphone.
Microphone, Cirrus Logic CS4260, AB82.
And we are going to tab.
Output device combo box primary sound driver collapsed.
Again, if you're using different sound cards for whatever reason, you can have TeamTalk assigned to a sound card on its own, or use the system, which in my case, I'm going to down arrow
Headphones,
to
Cirrus Logic CS4260, AB82.
Headphones or speakers.
Digital audio, SPDIF, Cirrus Logic CS4260, AB82.
Digital.
Speakers, Cirrus Logic CS4260, AB82.
Speakers.
No sound device.
Or no sound device. So your options may vary. So I'm going to set it to the headphones by up arrowing.
Speakers, Cirrus Logic CS4 digital audio, SPDIF headphones, Cirrus Logic CS.
And there we go. We're back to the headphones, and we're going to tab.
Test selected button.
You can test your sound here but I know for a fact that my sound does work.
Enable duplex mode. Required for echo cancellation. Checkbox not checked.
Enable duplex mode. This means this is going to try to eliminate feedback from your speakers, which I would actually advise no matter what, whether you have this box checked or not checked. I would strongly suggest that you wear headphones as it is going to create nasty loopback and people are going to freak out and say, turn that crap off or blah, 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 whatever the situation at hand is. So I like to check this box.
Checked.
And we're going to tab.
Enable echo cancellation. Remove echo from speakers. Checkbox not checked.
Remove echoes from speakers. That's pretty much self-explanatory. That's going to attempt to remove the echo from your speakers.
Checked. Enable automatic gain control. Microphone level adjusted automatically. Checkbox checked.
Enable automatic gain. This I would strongly suggest you do not use because it's going to make you sound like you're underwater and people are going to complain about your mic quality. So we will definitely uncheck this.
Not checked.
We tab.
Enable noise reduction. Suppress noise from microphone.
Noise reduction. It's counterintuitive. I would definitely disable this as, again, this makes your mic sound like you're underwater and people are going to say, turn that crap off or fix your crap or get out of here or curse you out or whatever. So we will uncheck this box.
Not checked. Media file VS. Voice volume slider 50.
Media versus voice volume. This is where we talked about the media stream earlier. So if somebody's streaming something, you are unable to hear the people because the volume is low. Here you can turn either the stream up or down or set it to a default value. In this case, I'm going to set my media stream to about 2%. And if you have a desktop keyboard, of course, you can page up, page down. Or in my case, since I'm using the Mac, I can basically use my function key and my left arrow, go to 0, and I'm going to right arrow until I hear 2.
1, 2.
We'll leave it right there.
Refresh devices button.
Here you can refresh your devices. That's self-explanatory.
Default button Alt D.
And let's say if you screw up for whatever reason, you can restore defaults.
OK button.
Of course, this is self-explanatory. OK.
Cancel button.
Cancel.
Tab control. Sound system tab selected.
Sound system tab. There is one more thing we're going to cover since we're not going to cover the whole tabs. If you want to explore more what's in the other tabs, you can of course do this at your own leisure. But the last thing we're going to cover here is the sound events by hitting the right arrow key.
Sound events tab selected.
And we're going to tab.
Sound events property page. Sound events grouping. Sound events preview. User join channel checkbox selected checked.
Here you can specify whether or not you want sounds to play when a user joins, leaves, sends you something, etc., etc. In this case, the user join channel is checked. I'm going to leave it right there.
User left channel checkbox selected checked.
User left channel, obviously that's the same thing.
Private text message checkbox selected checked.
If you receive a private message, it's going to notify you, of course, with your screen reader and a sound.
Channel text message checkbox selected checked.
Same thing with the channel text message.
User toggled question mode checkbox selected checked.
User toggled question mode. If you are in a classroom environment, which yes, TeamTalk can be set up in a classroom environment, the user or the host will be able to hear, or you can hear as well when other people submit questions. It's going to play a sound when somebody is submitting a question or you submit a question.
Desktop access request checkbox selected checked.
Desktop access request. This is a per user preference. If the server allows you to receive or send files, this will definitely come in handy for you, so we will leave that checked.
New video session checkbox selected checked.
If you're in a TeamTalk server with sighted and or blind folks alike in a mixed environment, you can have this notify you when somebody wants to share video with you. What good does it do for a blind person? Not good, but if you're in a mixed environment with both sighted and blind people, then this will come in handy for you.
New desktop session checkbox selected checked.
New desktop session. Again, this is in case they're sharing a desktop with you. You can hear when somebody is wanting to share a desktop with you, so we will leave that checked. And of course, I'm down arrowing, by the way, so...
Server lost checkbox selected checked.
Server lost. That means if for some reason you get disconnected or your internet acts flaky, it's going to notify connection lost to whatever the server name is.
Push to talk key activated checkbox selected checked.
Push to talk key activated. So if you are using your push to talk key, it's going to give you a sound to let you know that your microphone is open or your push to talk key has been activated.
Voice activation triggered checkbox selected checked.
Voice activation triggered. This is the sound that both you and other people are going to hear, and it gets annoying over time because it creates an annoying, obnoxious sound. So I am going to uncheck this box. But again, this is a per user preference.
Level 1 voice activation triggered not checked. Voice activation triggered checkbox selected not checked.
It, and we're going to down arrow.
Voice activation stop checkbox selected checked.
Voice activation stop, the same idea. This is a per user preference. You can uncheck or leave it checked. I am going to uncheck.
Voice activation stop not checked. Level 1 voice activation stop checkbox selected not checked. Enable voice activation checkbox selected checked.
Enable voice activation. Again, this is going to enable, it's going to play a sound for you, or other users may hear it. I don't like it, but again, this is a per user preference. So we will definitely uncheck that box.
Enable voice activation not checked. Level 1. Disable voice activation checkbox selected checked.
Disable voice activation, same idea. I am going to uncheck that box.
Disable voice activation not checked. Level 1. Enable voice activation from the menu checkbox selected checked.
Enable voice activation from me. I am going to uncheck that. Again, this is self-explanatory. You can have that checked or not. It's going to basically enable voice activation.
Enable voice activation from the menu not checked. Level 1. Enable voice activation from the menu checkbox selected not checked. Disable voice activation from the menu checkbox selected checked.
And the same thing with the disabled, we're going to uncheck.
Disable voice activation from the menu not checked. Level 1. This file list updated checkbox selected checked.
File list updated. So somebody uploaded a file. It's going to notify you when a file has been uploaded.
File transfer completed checkbox selected checked.
File transfer completed. That means you can see whether or not your upload has been completed, and it's going to notify you.
Everyone in channel has stopped talking checkbox selected not checked.
Everyone in channel has stopped talking. This is a per user preference. By default, it comes unchecked. Basically, it's going to notify you whether or not people have stopped talking. I leave this unchecked. This is, of course, at your discretion.
Transmit ready and no interruptions channel checkbox selected checked.
Transmit ready and no interruptions. That means once everybody has stopped, it's going to allow you to talk and tell you whether or not people are interrupting you. I like to uncheck this, but this is up to you.
Transmit ready and no interruptions channel not checked. Level 1. Transmit stopped and no interruptions channel checkbox selected checked.
Transmit stop, no interruptions. This is, of course, same idea. Up to you here. I will uncheck.
Transmit stopped and no.
And that's it. We are going to tab till we hear the OK button.
OK button. TeamTalk 5 Classic V 5.3.3 dialog. Preview.